If you're new to Vespa ownership and you're considering doing an upgrade, I'm going to share today the 3 upgrades that I think are most worth it. Make sure you stick around to the end because then I'll talk about what order to get these upgrades in. Thanks so much for watching. The first upgrade that I'm really glad I have is this top case. Now the top case immediately improves the functionality of your scooter. It allows you to store all kinds of things in there. It makes commuting easier, running to the store. It's just very useful for so many things. You can also hold your gear when you're not riding it. Many of them can fit a full-size helmet in there. You can throw your gloves in there. There's a lot of just practical uses for the top case. You can also lock it, secure things in there. It's often the thing that people start with just because it gives them the opportunity to be able to use their scooter for more common purposes. Now, the color matched Vespa top cases I think look particularly sharp. They are definitely on the pricier end. There are other options. I think the thing to consider in that is how are you going to use it? Do you want to be able to lock it and secure it? The other thing is if you really like the color matched top case, and you get something cheaper, it might be one of those situations of buy once, cry once, because if you buy something first and you don't really love it, and you buy that one thing and then you keep waiting and wanting the color matched top case, then it is probably worth just making the investment and getting it to begin with. So just my 2 cents on that. Top case, super useful, definitely an upgrade worth making. The next upgrade that I highly recommend is a windscreen. Now, as far as upgrades go, windscreens are not a terribly expensive upgrade, which is great because they immediately improve the comfort of your ride. So if you're riding along at any kind of speed, to have that wind hitting you square in the chest, because of course you're sitting upright, it just can be uncomfortable for any long distances. To have the wind be able to kind of be kicked off and head up a little bit higher, I think makes a huge difference. There's also lots of options for windscreens, so you could buy the Vespa one, which of course is more expensive, but there are other brands that make really good windscreens. They're the tall ones that you actually look through. There are also ones that are wider that cover kind of the handlebar area, which helps keep your hands warm if you're riding in the winter. This is sort of a middle of the road size. It works fine for what my purposes are generally when I ride. I actually am looking into getting a bigger one for the winter just so it can cover my hands. But really not too hard to install. Easy to order. If you go to the Scooter West website, you can put in your exact model of scooter and it will give you the options of what would work with your model. So windscreen, again, not a very expensive option. It makes a very big difference right away and is totally worth the money. So this last upgrade is the one you hope you never need, but if you do end up needing it, you're going to be really glad you have it, and that's these crash bars. So here's my story about crash bars. When I sat in the motorcycle safety class with a lot of young men who were eager to ride their motorcycles, I thought to myself, I'm not going to be one of those people who lays my bike down. That is not going to happen to me. I am mature. My frontal lobe is fully developed, and me and my frontal lobe will never have a problem. I just assumed I'd be one of those people who just never laid my Vespa down. It honestly did not take long before a silly incident where I had a friend who was hopping on the back of my Vespa. We lost the balance and just tipped over. And it wasn't even running. I actually made a video about it that you can watch. I cannot tell you how thankful I was to have these crash bars because I totally would have beat up the bodywork on the side of my Vespa. So if you have a Vespa that's already seen some life and has some dings and is rough around the edges and you got a lot of stickers, magnets on it to kind of cover the damage, I love that. I respect that. And maybe this isn't something you need because you kind of like the lived-in Vespa look, and I think that's great. If you invested in a new Vespa and you're trying to keep it pretty pristine, I think the crash bar investment is probably worth it. Now, it might not need to be the thing you get first, but you don't want to wait too long and have something happen. It is not easy to find someone to do body work on Vespas, and the paint and all of that, it is pricey. It is a very pricey thing to get fixed. So crash bars, worth the upgrade. Again, you hope you don't need them, but if you do, you're going to be really glad you have them. So how do you decide which upgrades to get first? I actually think it depends a lot on your particular circumstance. So for example, if you live in a city and you're riding kind of through city streets and you're not going particularly fast, it's possible that the windscreen really isn't going to be that beneficial to you right away, and you should start with the top case because you're going to be running more errands on it, going to work on it, that kind of thing. So it might make more sense to start with the top case there. Also, if it's summertime, it's possible the wind hitting you square in the chest really isn't a problem at all. That doesn't become a problem until later. So you could start with the top case in that situation as well. If you're mostly just riding for fun and you want to you have a 300, you want to go faster, I do think that windscreen might be the best first thing to start with. Also consider your budget. If you just spent the money on a Vespa and you're like, I don't know that I want to drop the money right now on the top case, you could just start with the windscreen and that would already make a big difference. I do think the crash bars are probably third on the list, but once again, I think you don't want to wait too long on that. I think it's really important. So I hope this was helpful. It's just my personal experience. I'm really thankful to have these 3 upgrades on both of my scooters. I think they've made a big difference, and I highly recommend that you look into them yourself. So if I am missing an upgrade that you think is just essential, make a comment below. I would love to hear. Or if there's an upgrade that you think I ought to do and make a video about, I would love to hear that too. There are limited amounts of things I feel like you can do on a Vespa. It's just not very big. There's not too many different things on it, but I love to hear ideas. So if you have thoughts on an upgrade that you'd like to see or that you yourself have done, please make a comment below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.